we're making the orange team's take on fish and chips, another pub classic. While I had a bit of trouble sourcing the correct part of the fish, I'm pretty sure I got the right species of fish, which is saying something coming from Austria. I'll get more into that later on in the video. So there is a part in here which we'll get to very early on in the video. It's like a macadamia butter. I would highly advise you to make a little bit extra of this and just shove a whole spoon into your mouth. Don't feel guilty about it. I won't judge you at all for this. Also, growing up in Australia, going fishing a lot, and then coming home and making up beer battered fish. Mind you, the fish was always overcooked and kind of dry, but that beer batter kind of brought back a little bit of nostalgia for me. Even though we didn't beer batter the fish, we just beer battered the zucchini. Or did we? And to start this recipe off, we're going to roast off some zucchini and some eggplant. Now, they said that you'd use a charcoal grill. I don't have one of those, but I do have a gas grill that's very well used, so it's still going to give me some smoky flavour. So, I'm going to go out there and char these off. Okay, next, we're going to roast off some garlic cloves. So I've just got 2 garlic cloves that I've peeled, and then I'm just going to put enough olive oil in this pan, or this little pot I should say. It comes up about halfway. Now we're going to stick this into a 180°C preheated oven till they're nice and soft and they're looking nice and roasty. Next, we're going to get some raw macadamias. We're going to place them in an oven tray, and then we're going to stick these into that same 180°C preheated oven for about 10 minutes or until they're nice and golden brown. And when your macadamia's got some good colour and your garlic's got some good colour on it too, like that, you want to set them aside and let them cool down completely. To make the zhoug, I've got a couple of garlic cloves that I've just peeled. Then I've got a bunch of parsley that I've taken the leaves off the stems and then just run my knife through to give my little mini food presser a helping hand. And also I did the same thing with the coriander. Just pick the leaves off the stems and run my knife through it. Also to this, we're going to add some olive oil and the juice of a lemon. So in the recipe, it says to use sherry vinegar, but I'm using white wine vinegar because for some reason I can't find any sherry vinegar at the store. We'll plop some of that in, we'll give it a little shake of salt, and then we'll get the lid on and get to blending. As always, you got to give it the mandatory scrape down. Once you got it all blended up, you want to give it a taste. Alright, because I'm using white wine vinegar, not sherry vinegar, I'm just going to give it a little shot of agave, just to boost up the sweetness just a little bit. And we'll give it a little bit more salt too while we're at it. Alright, we'll mix that up and then we'll set it aside till we're ready to plate up. Alright, once your vegetables are soft and you got as much colour as you can on them, you just want to put them in a bowl and you want to cover them up and you just want to let them steam for about 10 minutes so all the skin soften up. Okay, once your macadamias are nice and cool, you want to place them into a mini food processor. You want to add some flaky salt, about a teaspoon's worth, and some olive oil. I'll put a little bit less because you ate all my macadamias.
Too yummy.
Right, now we plop the lid on and we blend until we make a nice butter-like consistency. Once you've blended them all down and it's nice and smooth, you want to set it aside till you're ready to use it. Okay, once you've let your eggplant and zucchini steam a little bit, it's time to get the flesh out. So we're just going to slice them in half. Don't really have to slice them at the moment because they're so soft, they're just kind of falling apart. And then we want to scoop out the flesh and we're going to set it in a colander that's placed over a bowl. And you just want to let as much of the liquid run out of this as you can. Also, you want to keep some of this charred skin with it. So a big piece like that, throw it on in there. You want some of that smokiness to come in there with it. So don't be afraid to put a little bit of the charred skin in there. Oh my God, it's hot. So as you can see, got some liquid out of those zucchini and eggplant. So now we're going to scoop all of that into a food processor. And then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients for the baba ganoush, which is some garlic that we roasted off before. Going to be some dill, some parsley. Those I've just picked, run my knife through them so they, blend up a little easier. Then we're going to go in with that macadamia puree, some olive oil, some Greek yogurt, the juice of a couple of limes, and some salt. Okay, now we're going to mix it up, but just pulse it a few times. You don't want it to be smooth like a puree. You just want it nice and chunky. Okay, so I just gave it a taste. And it's tasting pretty damn good, but I just want to give it another little pinch of some pepper and another little shake of salt. All right, then we'll just give that a mix in. And that is tasting pretty much perfect. It looks like slop, but it tastes absolutely amazing. So now we're going to make the beer batter for the zucchini fries. Now, they use 3 different types of flour in this batter. So, I've never done that before. I don't know why or what makes the difference, but we're going to be using different flours too. So we got self-raising first, then we got spread flour second, and then just some all-purpose going in third. And we'll give those a little mix together. Then we go in with some baking powder. Give that a little mix in. And now we're going to add the beer, and we're going to mix this in to the consistencies like thick cream. Now they said they used a pale ale, but I drink lager, so that's what I have in the fridge. So I'm using lager. All right, once you got it in there, all mixed together, don't forget to add a little bit of salt, and we'll get that mixed in. And then we're just going to set this aside for a minute while we get the zucchini ready. It's time to talk about the star attraction here, the fish. Now, I live in Austria, landlocked country, but we can get fish here. So I went to my local fishmonger. He gave me this, Kingfish. Now, this is how they received them. Already filleted off, and you can't get the wings. So I ended up leaving with an empty wallet and a big piece of fish. So we're going to cut this up, and we're still going to bake it in the oven, and then yeah, we'll serve it up how they did on the show. After much discussion about how I was going to cut this fish up, we've got this. Now we've left the bones in around these wing parts, these big rib bones, and also more toward the belly. We've got these two beautiful pieces here too. I've got some of this garlic olive oil here that I'm just going to lightly put on the fish. Now it doesn't actually say to do this in the recipe, but you know, it also says to use fish wings, which, you know, I don't have those either, so we're going off script here. All right, once you get the oil all over them, then we're just going to hit them with some salt all over. So now we're going to stick this into a 200 degrees Celsius preheated oven until it's cooked. Now we need to cut the zucchini up into little battens or chips, whatever you want to call them. So I'm just going to take the top and the bottom off, then slice it in half, and then using as a rough guide on the zucchini, I can see there's like two lines that run kind of evenly down the thing. So I'm just going to follow that line around, and then I've already cut up a few before, so we'll grab one of those over, and we'll just use that as a rough guide to keep them all roughly the same length. With the zucchini, I've got to put them all in a bowl. Just going to sprinkle a little bit of all-purpose flour over them. And we're just going to toss them to coat. I didn't get as much char as I would like to, but the fish is cooked. So now we're going to set it aside and let it rest a little bit. So I've got my lightly floured zucchini. I'm going to plop them all into the beer batter and get them all nicely coated. Now there could be a clean way to do this, but I'm using my hands. So I've got my oil ready. I'm going to go straight into the oil. The oil is around 170 degrees Celsius, and we're just going to cook them off for a few minutes until the zucchini's cooked through and they got a nice golden colour. When your zucchini's nice and soft in the middle and got a nice colour on it like that, you just want to remove them to a bowl, line with some paper towel. Okay, after you've let them drain, about 30 seconds to a minute, just to get off any of that excess oil, we'll take the paper towel out, hit it with some salt. Now we're going to make up the grape and zucchini salad. So I've sliced up my zucchini quite thin into little rings. So we'll plop those in. Then I've got some seedless grapes, two different colours because, you know, I was feeling kind of colourful today. And this is just the juice of half a lemon and some olive oil. We'll plop that in. Also, I meant to put some fresh dill in this dish, but I kind of used it all already. So I've got a little bit of dried. I'm just going to sprinkle over the top. Now, you'd probably use more of fresh, but as I said, I only have the dried, so that's how much I'm going to put in. Then just going to give it a little bit of salt, not too much because salty grapes doesn't sound like a good thing. And we're just going to give this a mix up. That's ready. I don't usually cook fish too often for myself because I usually screw it up. But let's see how I did with this one. Also, another reason why I don't usually eat fish is because of all the bones and things in there. I'm not usually big on that, but this fish just flakes away from the bone. Just pulls away easily. Even though I don't have a charcoal grill, the smokiness in the baba ganoush actually comes through. I was quite surprised on that one. Also, these little beer battered zucchini fries, nice and crispy, and brings me back to my childhood. Overall, this will be a damn fine pub meal.